Dr. Tarakçıoğlu and dear friends, I want to welcome you for my group. We were assigned with Integrated Coastal Zone Management Plan of Iskenderun Gulf in Samandağ region. Let me show you the outline. I will do the introduction of the project and talk about geomorphology of the coasts, coastal structures, human activities and land use, stakeholders of the project, and problems and pairwise ranking. Then Metin will talk about shoreline change and impact of climate change, and Efe will tell locations prone to problem and solutions and management plan. Samandağ region consists of three municipalities of Samandağ, Mağaracık, Tekebaşı, and two villages of Kapısuyu and Meydan. This region covers 7.6 thousand hectares and hosts 60,000 people. The region starts from Çolakçam in north and goes to the south to the Syrian border. This picture is rotated, so right side is the north. Coastal structures in the actually region is poor in terms of coastal structures. There are just two, Fisher Harbor and Harbor ruins. The Fisher Harbor is for wave protection, and the harbor ruins actually act like ruins, so they are kind of erosional control. The coastal landforms are sandspit that formed at the outflow of Asi River. There is a lagoon and sandbar formation. There is a long beach, sand beach. There are pocket beaches inside of headlands. There are bay and headlands also. We observed sea stumps, sea caves as well, cliff and notched cliff that was generated by the action of waves. 20% of the Samandağ region is settled and 80% is non-settled area. As you see, some residence is low, and it will be beneficial for tourism purposes for projections. We will see next. Human activities in the region are extraction of living sources, mainly fishing and shrimps, tourism and agriculture, urban and rural residency and forests. Red circle or rectangles shows the forests, land use of forests. Yellows are city or urban area, and the greens are agricultural areas. So three main topics, let's say. But actually they are dominant land uses, as zoomed in picture shows that there are secondary houses inside the agricultural lands, or there are some tourism facilities, but they are not dominant. We defined and grouped stakeholders of the project in three parts: primary, secondary, and other stakeholders. Then we determined the problems from the project plan, and we did pairwise ranking. As a result, we found the most important problem is wastes and garbage and dumping of them to the environment or to the sea. And the third problem is underdevelopment of tourism, and the fourth, insufficient qualifications and capacity of tourism service facilities. So on, we did the pairwise ranking and determined the most critical problems.
We selected the years that are common for the shoreline. To investigate the shoreline, the oldest photo that we can find was 2014. We added the transects perpendicularly to the baseline to describe the changes in the shoreline. We investigated all the shorelines and transects are used to the locations to read maximum and minimum change or to the balance locations. 34 transects are added as perpendicular to the baseline. Along each of the transects from T1 to T34, the distance from the baselines to each of the shoreline of the related years were measured. We calculate the difference in shoreline between the investigated dates to measure the rate of shoreline change over time. These lists in reports. These are listed in the reports. When we consider all the data, there is depositional trend. Before 2017, there was mostly deposition of sediment along the shoreline with 30 meters per year. However, between the years of 2017 and 2018, there is a huge erosion occurrence. I want to show you critical transects in this presentation. First, the color of lines indicates year. Red line indicates 2014, green 2016, yellow 2017, orange 2018, blue 2019, pink 2020. Erosion occurred at T7 and T29, transect 7 and transect 29. Since T7 is at the river outlet, erosion was thought to be high. Accumulation was observed at T14 and T18. And then there is no change at T32. It is in equilibrium, in balance. The reason for this erosion and deposition of the places at the shoreline are mostly the coastal structures. The impact of climate change is very important, especially for agricultural activities in Samandağ. Significant fluctuations in temperature and precipitation regime and other abnormal climate activities threaten all living spaces and dangerous for agricultural activities. Climate change can cause many disasters, such as storms, floods, due to sea level rise, extreme heat, hurricanes, and extreme drought. Loss of building and agricultural areas are in a potential danger. For this topic, both government and local people are trying to avoid problems caused by sea level rise. Precautions of local people are less effective compared to the government. Coastal sand dunes provide habitat for special creatures and protect the coast from storm surge and flooding. With increase in sea level, these dunes may harm seriously. This potential hazard affects agricultural areas and houses. In our region, we have several problems related to tourism, transportation, biodiversity, and pollution. The government should focus on protecting the environment and the habitat of species. Tourism and transportation facilities are also need consideration due to economic concerns. In long term, most of the problems of our region related to climate change will become more significant. In brief, the area requires a long-term strategy and some protections. Otherwise, as a result of climate change, current problems will become even more severe. Moreover, global measures should be taken against the problem of climate change by governments and people.
Hello everyone, my name is Efe Yıldırım, and today I'm going to talk about part 6 and 7 of our project. I can start with the parts of the shoreline that may cause problems in the future. Our first problematic part of the coastline is located at the east of the Asi River. In this part of the coastline, we have agricultural areas and farmlands with altitudes range between 0 and 5 meters. Also, the area has a low slope geography. For the far future, it can be said that the slow coastal flooding because of the climate change may be a problem for this area. Another possible problem is in storm condition. It's easy for waves to reach the ground where people live and their agricultural activities, since the slope is low and the area has no defensive structures. A storm can cause storm surge, and this phenomenon may affect badly the people and the life in the coastal zone. So what can be done to solve this problem? We can construct some defensive structures, and we can transfer buildings and farmlands to a further place. Our second problematic area is located at the edge of the beach, which is also known as Meydan Plajı. It has also a low slope geography, and there are structures very close to the sea. Lots of buildings at reduced range between 0 and 5 meters again. Since this region has one of the highest erosion rates, we can conclude that storm conditions, storm surge, and flooding risks are also valid for this region as well. So what can be done? As we stated before, defensive structures can help us, and also we can transfer buildings and farmlands to a further place. Our third case is located between Samandağ and Arsus. There isn't any structures and any type of residential areas. Our region has steeper slope geography compared to previous cases. The region has one of the highest shoreline chains in our shoreline. Since it has a road on top of the hill, erosion can create a high risk of collapsing of the road. On the other hand, destructive waves, which is a result of the extreme storms, can cause significant damage on the roadway. If you consider the climate change is mainly effective on the extreme storms, this part of the road can be considered as potential risky in the future. What can be done to solve this problem? As mentioned before, defensive structures may help us, and the road can transfer to another route. Our solutions and management plans. From part 4, we conclude that our most priority problem is household, industrial waste, and urban solid waste carried by Asi River. Another important problem of the area is lack of regular garbage collection area and dumping of garbage to the environment. Combined with our priority problem, this problem also causes pollution in the area. While developing a strategy, this problem also considered. So what can be done? What is our solution? We come up with an idea that creates suitable places where garbage can be disposed of, and also the waste in the river can be under control by both with regulations and filters. If you look at our stakeholders, our primary stakeholders, like farmers, hotel owners, fishers, summer house owners, the coastal zone that they are living in will be cleaner. So this is a big advantage. Also, environmental pollution hurts them most by endangering their health. Local people, as a stakeholder, will strongly support this strategy. They also do not have any disadvantageous outcome from this strategy. Our secondary stakeholders, like tourists that visit the area at summer, they will face with a cleaner coastal area. They will now be able to join the cleaner air and water. The secondary stakeholders also do not have a disadvantage outcome from this strategy as well. Our other stakeholders, mainly industrial society, the ones that harm the environment most, will be more affected by sanctions. Our solution will have some disadvantages on the industrial society. But on the other hand, with less environmental pollution, they will be freer to run their operations along the shoreline, and they will have a less bad reaction from local people and municipality also. If we look at our municipality, this strategy will cost both them and the industrial society for creating waste disposal areas and waste control applications. But with the consequences of the strategy selected, municipality will have satisfied local people, tourists, and consumers. The pollution problem will be reduced a lot, and they will have a more sustainable coastal zone after executing the strategy. But as a disadvantage, it will be costly for them at an initial point. The cost will be mainly due to creation of waste disposal areas and waste control applications. As a result, the disadvantage of the strategy will be mainly on municipality and industrial society. But as a result of the strategy, they will have a more sustainable coastal zone. They will have more support from the local people and tourists. In the end, they will compensate their economic loss. For local people, tourists, and consumers, the strategy is excellent because it doesn't have any considerable disadvantages from them, but instead they have disadvantages. So they have no reason to reject the strategy. So the strategy will most likely get acceptance for all parties and will be implemented quickly. I appreciate your time. Thank you.